Inspiring millionaire discovers amazing surprise at home 3 hours early, heartwarming revelation. Tom Wilson, a once struggling mechanic turned self-made millionaire, never thought he'd reach the heights of success he had. Living in a cozy suburb of the Midwest, he poured his heart into building not just a fortune, but a community around him. Each day brought a fresh chance to support neighbors, cheer on kids at baseball games, or lend a helping hand to those in need. As he hit the road for yet another work trip, excitement bubbled in his chest. His daughter Emma's 16th birthday was just days away, and Tom had big plans to make it unforgettable. Yet, unexpectedly, he returned home 3 hours earlier than planned. Fatigue washed over him, but as he pulled into his driveway, he noticed colorful balloons swaying softly in the breeze. Confusion creased his brow as he stepped out, only to be struck by vibrant decorations adorning the backyard. Before he could process it, laughter and cheers erupted like confetti in the air. His heart raced. They were all their Emma's friends, their neighbors celebrating her birthday in style. As he stood frozen in awe, overwhelmed by the warmth of kinship and excitement, a storm raged within him. He glanced at Emma, her radiant smile lighting up her face, surrounded by friends. But as he watched her laugh and play, he caught fleeting glimpses of a different reality. Beneath the surface, her eyes sometimes fell, revealing a truth he had missed. For too long, he'd been focused on money and success. Meanwhile, Emma felt overshadowed, grappling with feelings of loneliness and doubt, questions piercing her heart. Did she measure up to his accomplishments? As the evening unfolded, perfection brewed in the chaos of joy. But Tom felt an ache deep in his chest. He mingled with guests, exchanging warm smiles, yet snippets of conversation floated around him, heavy with meaning. "You have an amazing dad, look what he has built," one friend said, while another remarked on the organizations Tom helped fund. Each word began twisting in his gut, making him question his worth not as a millionaire, but as a father. The moment of reckoning hit like a bolt of lightning. Guilt coiled around his heart as he confronted the realization that his very success had inadvertently created a distance between them. How could he ever explain the value of relationships when he had been so consumed by ambition? Would Emma ever feel the warmth that family connection should bring? He took a deep breath, poised to speak, but lost his words in the beauty of the scene. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. As Tom swallowed hard, the crowd erupted into cheers, igniting his thoughts in a whirlwind. The joy in the air was palpable, yet he felt a twinge of anxiety. Had he lost the chance to reconnect with Emma? Was he too late to show her that family meant more than achievements? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow over the gathering, Tom stood at a crossroads. Would he find a way to bridge the gap before it widened too much? The night pulsed with excitement, leaving Tom contemplating the most significant question of all: what does true success mean? Tom took a shaky breath, fighting against the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside him. A part of him longed to embrace the moment, to throw himself into the celebration, but another part, deeper and more pressing, urged him to connect with Emma. He watched her from afar, her laughter ringing out like music, each note sharp against his burgeoning guilt. As the party carried on, Tom made his way toward her. The crowd parted, oblivious to the tension brewing within him. Emma was in the center, dazzling in her silver dress, surrounded by friends spilling secrets and dreams into the warm evening air. But as he approached, their laughter dimmed, and Emma turned to him, her smile faltering for just the briefest moment. "Dad!" she exclaimed with forced excitement, "You're back early." "Yeah, surprise," he managed, the knot in his throat tightening. Her eyes sparkled with joy, but they also shimmered with something else, something he couldn't quite place. Was it disappointment? He wrapped his arms around her for a brief hug, and she melted into him. At that moment, Tom felt the weight of days spent away from home. Memories of her growing up, the missed soccer games, school plays, and heartfelt dinners flashed through his mind. Each instant stung like a reminder of what he'd prioritized over time spent with her. "Let us get some cake," he said, forcing a smile, hoping to reclaim a sliver of their bond. They moved toward the table, a colorful display of sugary treats and bright candles. Emma's friends cheered as she made a wish, blowing out the candles in one confident breath. But as the applause rang out, Tom's heart pounded with a fierce urgency. "Hey, could I borrow Emma for a second?" he asked, raising his voice over the chatter. The kids nodded, eagerly munching on cake. Tom led Emma aside to a quiet corner of the patio, where twinkling fairy lights strung overhead cast a gentle glow around them. "What's up, Dad?" she asked, leaning against the wooden fence. She seemed open but guarded, a subtle hint of vulnerability peeking through her bright exterior. I wanted to talk," he stammered, looking deep into her eyes. "I know I've been absent a lot." "Absent? That's an understatement," she retorted with a hint of sarcasm. But the edge of her tone didn't mask the weariness he detected behind it. "It's just that I've been so focused on building a future, on work, that I lost sight of what truly matters." He paused, grappling with the right words. "I don't want you to feel like your dad is just some guy with a lot of money. I want you to know how much I care. You mean the world to me, Emma." She looked at him, eyes wide, emotions a swirling storm. "It's hard sometimes, Dad. I feel like I can't compete with everything you've built." His heart sank. "You don't have to compete," he said softly. "You don't need to measure your worth against anything. You're enough, just as you are." For a moment, they stood in silence, the weight of those words hanging between them. He wanted to reach out and wrap her in another embrace, to make her understand the weight of his love, unfiltered and unconditional, but before he could say more, the sound of laughter and music returned, pulling them back to the reality of the celebration. Her friends, dancing and celebrating around them, highlighted the dichotomy of that night between joy and uncertainty. "Can we talk more later?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if sealing an agreement. Tom felt the pang of an emotional bridge starting to build but knew the real work still lay ahead. "Of course," he replied, determination flooding his veins. "I'm here for you, always." As Emma rejoined her friends, Tom forged a path through the crowd, heart racing. Tonight had to be a turning point, not just for her birthday, but a new chapter for their relationship. As he mingled again, he felt the weight of hope settling in. There was promise in reconnections, maybe they could write a new story together, but as the evening rolled on, a voice inside him whispered a question that chilled his heart: what happens when the party ends? And reality sets back in? Tom watched Emma laugh and dance, lost in her world of youthful exuberance. The joy around him felt contrastingly distant, a flickering light against the shadows of his thoughts. He tried to shake the weight of uncertainty that hung over him. The evening was not just a birthday celebration, it was a delicate balancing act between the hope of renewal and the haunting reminders of past neglect. As he meandered through the party, Tom noticed Emma's friends occasionally stealing glances at him, curiosity etching their young faces. He wondered what stories they shared about him. The dad who was never really there. The successful man who seemed more present in boardrooms than in his own home? He winced at the thought. Casting a glance at the birthday girl, he saw Emma laughing more freely now, the joy of being surrounded by friends softening the lines of worry etched in her expression. That laugh, like music, tugged at his heart. He realized that to her and her friends, he was an enigma. A ghost flitting in and out of their lives, leaving behind sparks of confusion and well-intentioned gifts instead of memories of time spent together. "Dance with me?" he suddenly proposed, emboldened by a rush of spontaneity. Emma paused, her eyes widening with surprise. "You want to dance?" she echoed, incredulous. "Why not? It's your party." He grinned, hoping to mask how his heart raced at the very thought. "Okay. But just for a bit," she said, unable to stifle her smile as she grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the cluster of kids swaying to the music. As they stepped into the small circle of light cast by the nearby lanterns, he felt the warmth of her spirit draw him close. Their awkwardness transformed into laughter as Tom tried his best to keep up with Emma's youthful grace and energy. The music beckoned them, and for those blissful moments, parents and deadlines faded away. What remained was just a father and daughter, dancing under a canopy of stars, but deep down, Tom wrestled with a gnawing anxiety. While the dance felt uplifting, it was just a band-aid over a wound that needed healing. He needed to dig deeper, face the truth they both were avoiding. He stole glances at Emma, hoping to read the changes in her expressions, the joy, the hesitance, the flicker of vulnerability. "Dad," she called, her voice barely audible over the music, "can we talk now? About all that stuff from earlier?" He caught his breath. The moment of truth seemed to hang in the air, heavy with unspoken emotions. He knew this was his chance to show her that he could really be there for her. "Of course," he breathed, leading her away from the dance floor, past the laughter and flashing lights, into a quieter corner of the patio. Feeling the weight of the universe pressing down on them, Tom watched as Emma looked up at him, a beautiful mix of courage and apprehension reflected in her eyes. The laughter from the party dimmed, and in that fragile moment, he recognized the fear of losing her trust, the very thing he damagingly torched with his absences. "Dad, I just want to feel like I matter," she whispered, bravely exposing her heart. Tom felt as though the ground beneath him rattled, shattering his surface-level defenses. How could he be so foolish? This wasn't just about time, it was about being present, truly present. "You matter to me, Emma. You always have." As he spoke those words, they extinguished the worry swirling inside him, even if just for a heartbeat. But as that small flame flickered to life, another unsettling thought surged beneath. Was it enough? What if he failed again to shift the tides of their relationship before it was too late? With that nagging question settling heavily on his shoulders, Tom looked into Emma's eyes, silently pleading for a glimmer of hope, a sign that this was more than a moment, it was the beginning of something wholly transformative. And then he heard a distant siren, an ominous reminder of the thing he'd left behind, waiting just outside the walls of their precious bubble. What had he really opened with this conversation? As the sounds of the party started to fade, an unsettling realization took root: the next steps they'd take might determine the future of everything they held dear. The stars twinkled above them like tiny, distant eyes watching the moment unfold. Tom searched Emma's face, desperate for a sign of understanding, while the world around them faded into a blur of sounds and colors. A hint of sincerity glimmered in her expression, momentarily calming the storm inside him. "Do we have to talk about all of this now?" she asked, a slight tremor in her voice. "Can't we just enjoy the party?" His heart sank at her words, feeling the pull of denial grasping at the edges of their conversation. The party felt comforting, like a warm blanket. But reality tugging at him reminded him that the joy they shared needed a foundation, or all would burst apart like a soap bubble under a child's breath. "Emma, I want to enjoy the party too, but I also want to make sure you're okay." She took a deep breath, her brow furrowing. She hesitated, the pressure of unshared thoughts weighing on her. "Sometimes I think I did something wrong, like maybe you're too busy to care about me because of how things were before." Tom's chest tightened painfully at her confession. How had things drifted so far? He had brushed off his absence like dust on a bookshelf, never realizing the impact it truly had. "Listen," he said, kneeling slightly to meet her gaze. "I want to be here. I want to be part of your life, really part of it. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. Just tell me how." Emma's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, a rare vulnerability breaking through the steady facade of her youthful spirit. "I just want you to know me, Dad. Not just on my birthday. Not just for the big moments. I want you at the little ones too." Her honesty pierced him, igniting something deep within a surge of commitment. "I promise," he said, sincerity woven through every word. "I'll make time. I'll make sure you know you're my priority." An uncomfortable pause hung between them. The music was muted now, just a backdrop to the heavier silence. He reached out, gently caressing her shoulder, wishing he could shield her from the pain he'd caused. "I know we can't just fix everything at once," he added. "But I want to start somewhere. Maybe we can grab lunch together this week? Just the two of us?" A tentative smile cracked through the cloud of her sadness, illuminating her face like the sun breaking through dark clouds. "That'd be nice." Tom felt relief wash over him. They had taken a step, however small, toward healing. But in the back of his mind, doubts lingered. Had they truly encountered the heart of the issue? Was this moment enough to reset their path, or were they merely spinning their wheels in quicksand? The distant siren loomed larger in his thoughts. He pushed it aside, focusing on Emma's hopeful gaze instead. As they returned to the noise of the party, her friends danced nearby, laughing and carefree, oblivious to the intensity of their conversation. Tom watched Emma gradually slip back into her rhythm, embracing the joy that had initially tugged him to join her. Yet a sliver of anxiety coiled within him. What if everything he'd promised slipped through his fingers like grains of sand? "How about a photo together?" she suggested suddenly, breaking into Tom's tumultuous thoughts. "It'll be like proof that you were here." "Absolutely," he replied, grateful for the shift. As they gathered with friends, he squeezed her hand, a silent promise echoing in that simple gesture. The camera flashed, capturing the moment. Laughter surrounded them once more, yet as the light faded, Tom couldn't shake the sense of urgency building inside him. What would he say to Emma when the party ended? Would it be enough to keep the fragile connection they'd begun to forge? Just then, a loud crash echoed from inside the house, drawing attention away from their picture-perfect scene. Emma froze, her smile replaced with concern. What was that? Fear twisted in Tom's gut as he turned toward the noise. Had he truly awakened new hopes, or would everything come crashing down once again? With every heartbeat, the weight of the evening grew heavier, revealing the truth right outside their carefully crafted moment. What lay ahead for them could either be a step toward redemption or a spiral deeper into uncertainty. Emma's eyes widened as the commotion inside the house escalated. The crash felt like a thunderclap echoing through the party, shattering the delicate bubble of their moment. Tom's heart raced. He scanned the gathering, where laughter had morphed into whispers of concern. "Let's check it out," he suggested, grabbing Emma's hand. She nodded, her expression a mixture of fear and curiosity, making it clear that she was ready to face whatever lay beyond the safety of their shared words. They weaved through the crowd, moving toward the source of the chaos. As they stepped inside, the scene pulled Tom in two directions. The party continued in the backyard, but a knot formed in his stomach as he saw what had happened. A table had overturned, its contents sprawled across the floor. A few friends stood around, looking bewildered. "Who tripped?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Tom couldn't shake the feeling of discomfort. "Probably just an accident," he replied, though doubt lingered in his mind. Accidents were often messy, just like life's unpredictable turns. Before he could act, one of Emma's friends, Sarah, broke the tension. "I think it was just Kyle. He danced a little too enthusiastically." The group erupted in laughter, dispelling the worry and returning them back to laughter and warmth. As the crowd encircled Kyle, playfully ribbing him about his clumsiness, a sense of relief washed over Tom. Life had its way of balancing out the dark with light, but he couldn't shake the need to talk to Emma about their challenges. "Why don't we grab those snacks?" Tom suggested, hoping the light-hearted atmosphere would ease the weight still pooling in his heart. Emma shot him a grateful smile, and they made their way to the kitchen, where trays filled with colorful treats awaited. As they munched on popcorn and mini sandwiches, Tom watched Emma. She was engaging, her laughter filling him with warmth, but a part of him couldn't help but notice the flicker of uncertainty that danced in her eyes. They might be momentarily pushed aside their issues, but they hadn't vanished. "Hey, Emma, can I tell you something?" He found himself leaning closer to her, the chatter of the party falling to a softer hum around them. "Sure, Dad." "What is it?" She looked interested, almost hopeful. "I know I've been absent a lot. I really regret the time I've missed with you. I'm trying to change that." His voice was steady, but his heart raced with vulnerability. "I know," she replied quietly. It feels like there might still be things to sort out." "Okay, let us promise to share whatever's in our hearts more often then, okay? Even when it's hard. Deal." A flicker of determination sparked in her eyes, and Tom felt his resolve strengthen. Then Sarah burst into the kitchen, breathless. "You've got to come see this. You won't believe who just arrived." "What?" Emma looked curious, a brightness blooming in her expression that made Tom's heart lift. "Just come on." Sarah tugged at Emma's arm, pulling her toward the door. Tom hesitated for a moment, compelled by the peace he felt from speaking with Emma, but he followed, curiosity piqued. As they stepped outside, laughter spilled out from the backyard again, but it was a different energy now. People were parting like waves, and in the center stood a familiar figure, an old friend of Tom's, someone he hadn't seen in years. "Is that?" Tom's voice trailed off. Could it really be? What did this unexpected reunion mean for him and Emma? Emma looked up at him, her brow furrowed in confusion. "Dad? Who is that?" The tension returned, tightening like a vice around him. This might just be the revelation and the reckoning he'd been preparing for. Would this surprise help to bridge their gaps or provide a stark reminder of the distance that still existed? As the past walked toward them, Tom felt a pang of both hope and dread. What would unfold next? Tom's heart pounded as the figure stepped closer, each stride echoing memories that had long lain dormant. It was Mike, his college roommate and best friend, the one person Tom had lost touch with amidst the whirlwind of life. There was no mistaking him, tall, a little grayer around the edges, but with that same infectious smile that could light up any room. "Tom!" Mike called out, his voice warm and familiar. "Look at you, man. It's been way too long." For a fleeting moment, the noise of the party faded. Tom's breath caught in his throat as a flood of nostalgia washed over him. Memories of late-night talks, shared dreams, and the camaraderie that had defined their younger years seeped back in, mingling with the present. "Mike, wow, it's really you." Tom managed, stepping forward, hand outstretched. They embraced strong and filled with unspoken words. As they pulled away, Mike's gaze flicked to Emma. There was immediate recognition. And this must be Emma. "Wow, you've grown up." Emma blinked, caught off guard, and Tom felt her uncertainty mirror his own swirling thoughts. "Yeah, it's nice to meet you," she replied somewhat shyly. "I've heard so much about you." Mike continued, the warmth in his voice cueing Emma's budding smile. Tom took a breath, wanting to reset the thick tension wrapping around them. "You're here early. What brings you back?" "I got a bit of time off from work, and I couldn't resist stopping by to surprise you. You know how it goes with life and work. You think you can manage," but his expression shifted, revealing sincerity. "Things change," Tom finished, glancing at Emma, who was now watching the two of them keenly, as if this sudden reunion might reveal more layers of their shared history. "Exactly," Mike nodded, eyes dancing with understanding, "but you can't lose sight of what really matters." Tom swallowed hard, aware of the implications in those words. The cracks in his relationship with Emma were not lost on Mike. But how could he explain to her the complexities of adulthood? They stood there, in the backyard full of laughter, but the atmosphere felt suffused with heavier questions. "How have you been?" Tom asked, trying to mask the whirl of emotions swirling in his chest. "Busy, but good. I mean, I've had my ups and downs. But I realized the downs make me appreciate the UPS way more." Yeah, Tom responded, realizing this was a conversation about more than just small talk. Mike's approach was much like their late-night discussions years ago, raw, unfiltered, and encouraging. What Tom couldn't shake, though, was the reality of his own downs, the missed moments with Emma. Navigating through that heavy thought, he turned toward her. "Hey, Emma, why don't you catch up with Sarah for a bit? I need to talk with Mike for a moment." "Sure, I'll be right back," Emma replied, a hint of tension still present but softened by hope. As she walked away, Mike turned to Tom, his voice low. "What is going on? You seem strapped." Tom hesitated, unsure if he was ready to lay bare all the chaos within. "I'm trying to reach Emma, you know. But it feels like every time I make a connection, something pulls us apart. I don't want the past to define our future." Mike nodded, deeply engaged. "You have to be honest with her, Tom. Lay it all out." Before Tom could grapple with the enormity of those words, a sudden shout cut through the party, drawing their attention. A commotion erupted near the pool, laughter giving way to shocked gasps. "What now?" Tom muttered, frustration creeping in again. "Let us check it out," Mike suggested, a sparkle of mischief in his eyes. Tom could feel the weight of the moment shift. Would this just be another distraction, or might it lead to something crucial? As they moved toward the sound, Tom's thoughts raced, but the truth remained: there were things left unsaid, a connection that needed rebuilding. Would this chaos bring them closer or push them further apart? His heart thundered in anticipation. The evening was far from over, and it felt like it was preparing to unleash more than just laughter. The crowd shifted around the pool, excitement rising like steam off a hot pavement. Tom and Mike pushed their way through, uncertainty mingling with curiosity. As they approached, the laughter faded, replaced by whispers and hurried movements. "What's happening?" Tom asked, scanning the scene. He spotted a group of people gathered around a floating device in the pool, their faces animated with surprise. "Looks like a party trick gone wrong," Mike joked, though his eyes betrayed a hint of concern. Then they heard a loud splash followed by gasps. Tom squinted, trying to make out what lay at the center. A partygoer wearing a wacky inflatable shark costume scrambled to the edge, struggling to keep the mask above water. As soon as he made it out, laughter erupted and cheers filled the air. "That's hilarious!" Tom exclaimed, relief flooding through him as the tension of the moment lifted. Mike joined in, clapping his hands, the familiar sound of carefree joy rekindling an old flame in Tom's chest. "See?" Mike said, laughter lingering in his voice. "Laughter's contagious. Sometimes it takes a splash to break the ice." Tom smiled, the weight on his shoulders feeling a little lighter, the warmth of the moment nearly electric. Watching Emma joined by other friends, giggling at the chaos, reminded him how easy it was to lose sight of joy amidst adult responsibilities, but that moment of levity faded into a bittersweet reality. Was it truly that simple? Could a moment of shared laughter mend what was broken? He felt a nagging pull, the desire to talk to Emma pressing down on him like a weight. "Hey, I really need to find Emma," he said, breaking away from Mike with resolve. "I need to talk to her." "You are right, I can't just let things fester." Mike's approving nod gave him a burst of confidence. "You've got this, Tom. Just be honest." Tom pushed through the throng of revelers, looking for her familiar silhouette. And when he finally spotted Emma, her face lit up with pure delight as she pointed toward the chaos in the pool, the sparkle in her eyes undeniable. But his heart sank. Was that joy or distraction? "Emma!" he called out, forcing a smile even as nerves danced in his stomach. Her laughter quieted as she turned to him. Tom! Did you see that? It was so funny!" she exclaimed, still glowing from the excitement. "Yeah, it was great." He took a deep breath, figuring this was his moment. "Listen, can we talk for a second? Just you and me?" Her smile faltered for just a moment, replaced by a touch of apprehension. "Sure, what's up?" They stepped away from the noise, finding a quieter corner beneath the flickering lights. The air, now filled with the distant chiming of laughter, felt charged with tension. Tom took a breath, heart racing. "Emma, I don't want to keep sidestepping what's going on between us. I've been a mess, and I know you deserve better." She looked at him, eyes serious now, and he realized their connection was still there, even if it was tangled and frayed. "Tom, I can feel the distance growing. It hurts." "I know," he said, desperation creeping into his voice. "I've just been scared of losing you again. But if we're going to make this work, we need to be open, no more games." Emma's gaze softened, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest, but then uncertainty clouded her expression. "But what if the truth pushes us further apart?" In that moment, everything seemed to hang in the balance, their future resting on the precipice of honesty. What would be revealed once they laid it all bare? "Can we take that risk?" he whispered, desperately searching her eyes for the answer. Before Emma could reply, a loud crash echoed from the other side of the yard, catching their attention. Both turned, hearts pounding again, drawn back into the chaos surrounding them. "What was that?" Emma asked, her voice laced with concern. "I don't know," Tom replied slowly, grasping for composure. "But we need to find out." As they hurried back into the throng, Tom's mind raced. The night was heavy with potential. Could they face the truth amidst the noise? What lay ahead could change everything. He glanced at Emma, a bond still flickering between them. Whatever happened next, they had to confront it together. What was waiting in the shadows now felt more daunting than ever. The moment they returned to the main party area, a flurry of activity enveloped them. Tom could see the crowd muttering excitedly, all eyes drawn to a toppled table and scattered drinks. He held his breath, the laughter now tinged with uncertainty. What had just happened? "Let's get closer," Emma urged, grabbing his hand and pulling him through the throng of bodies. Her grip was firm, and for a split second, it gave him hope that they could tackle whatever was unfolding together. As they reached the front, Tom saw someone struggling to pull themselves off the ground. It was Karen, the life of the party just moments ago. She was covered in spilled soda and laughed, a bright smile on her face despite her predicament. "I may not be cut out for this vertical life," she exclaimed, drawing more chuckles from the crowd. Relief washed over Tom. The cracking laughter and slight chaos seemed to act as a balm on the tension that had just permeated his conversation with Emma. He turned to her, his heart still beating fast from the previous conversation, but now, he noticed her lips curling into a smile again. "See? Nobody's perfect," he said, trying to ease the mood. "Besides, she'll be fine. Just a little sticky." Emma chuckled, the sound a welcome melody, but the unspoken worry still loomed. "Yeah, but I wonder if it was all too much for her. Sometimes it feels like it's too much for all of us." He mirrored her earlier seriousness, the laughter around them fading as he focused back on her. "This party isn't going to fix anything," he replied quietly. "It's just a distraction. We need to deal with us, Emma, with everything." Before she could respond, Karen, now upright and dripping soda, chimed in. "Hey, who wants to help clean this up? I promise to share my leftovers if you do." In an instant, others began to pitch in, laughter returning to the scene as cups were picked up and tables were set right. Tom wanted to help, to throw himself into the task to avoid the conversation he so desperately needed to have. But he also wanted to keep Emma with him, to figure out where they stood. Emma squeezed his hand tighter. "Is it just me, or does this feel like a way to avoid what we really need to talk about? We don't have to keep pushing it away." "Maybe," Tom admitted, looking around as the crowd transformed the moment, rallying in camaraderie. But this might help us see things clearer. Can't hide forever, right? She sighed, glancing back at Karen, who was now cracking jokes with some guys helping clean up. I want to face it all, Tom. I truly do. But what if we both come out of this more broken than before? His heart sank at the thought. Then we'll deal with it, he replied, determination threading his words. We'll find a way to mend whatever needs mending. Together. Just as he finished, a thunderous laughter erupted from Karen once more, creating a ripple effect through the crowd. Tom looked at Emma and saw a glimmer of hope in her eyes, the tightness in her shoulders easing just a little. All right, she finally said, her voice steadier. Let us finish this party game, then I want to talk. Are you with me? Always, he replied, feeling a spark of courage. They stepped back, ready to join in, but Tom couldn't help but wonder. What if the night took a turn? All these moments leading up to their truth felt like pieces scattered across a wild board. As the laughter filled the air again, he pulled Emma close for a second. Whatever happens next, we can face it, right? She nodded, but as her gaze drifted over the crowd, he noticed a flicker of worry lingered. Before he could ask, the music shifted, amplifying the mood, but it couldn't drown out the mounting tension between them. What would the end of this night reveal? When would the truth come crashing back, demanding attention? They were tangled in a web of laughter and uncertainty, and deep down, Tom felt that whatever happened next would truly define their path. Tom and Emma joined the fray, arms raised as they danced to the infectious beats pulsing through the speakers. Laughter filled the air, drowning out their hesitation for just a moment. Tom pulled Emma closer, spinning her as they entered a carefree bubble where worries couldn't touch them, at least not for now. Karen, still sporting her soda-splattered shirt, led a group in an impromptu game of charades. Each round brought more silliness and outrageous guesses, the crowd erupting in giggles, reminding Tom of childhood slumber parties. Emma grinned as she attempted to mimic a cartoon character, her eyes sparkling with mischief. In that light, gladness blossomed between them, pushing back the shadows that loomed ever closer. Yet, despite the laughter surrounding them, Tom couldn't shake the nagging pull in his chest. Each laugh reminded him of the weight of their unsaid words. Would they be able to find the courage to lay it all out, or would silence continue to shroud them in doubt? The game shifted to a new round, and Karen picked an animated movie that had everyone buzzing. Tom. You know this one. She called out, eyes bright with enthusiasm. He watched as she acted out her clues, a passion in her movements that made her untamed joy infectious. I know. He began but stopped short when he caught Emma's eye. Her smile was there, but it felt fragile, like a balloon that might pop under pressure. The urge to protect that smile surged within him. He turned back to the game, letting the fun wash over him. He let out a laugh and clapped for Karen, cheering her on as she bounded around with exaggerated flair. When the game finally wound down, viewers in the crowd cheered raucously for the winner, and Karen took a bow, taking in all the love. The atmosphere buzzed with energy, yet Tom felt a sudden emptiness creep back. As the crowd buzzed around him, he caught Emma taking a deep breath, her gaze drifting to the exit. Hey, he called gently, stepping closer, you all right? She paused, her smile fading as the realization of their unfinished conversation seeped back into view. I was just thinking about how the fun masks what we're really feeling. Then let us step outside, he suggested, heart racing. A chill crept in, but it didn't matter. They needed this. We can talk there, away from all this. Emma hesitated before nodding, and together they slipped away from the clamor of laughter and chatter. With each step towards the soft glow of lanterns decorating the pathway, Tom's stomach twisted. What would they bring into the open? Would this night draw them closer, or push them irrevocably apart? Outside, the night air was cool against their skin, a sharp contrast to the warm chaos they left behind. They found a quiet nook, illuminated by starlight dancing overhead, and Tom turned to Emma, searching her face for clarity, for any sign of what she was feeling. "Emma," he began, but his words caught in his throat. She stood there glancing down, her fingers nervously fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. The moment felt heavy, pregnant with meaning. He didn't want to misstep. "I've been thinking," she spoke softly, breaking the silence, "about us and what this all means, what happens next." Tom's heart raced. "I want to know where we stand, too. But I'm scared of what we might find." Her eyes met his, a flicker of resolve shining through the worry. What if the truth hurts? As they stood there, the world seemed to fade, leaving just the two of them facing the unknown. Would they emerge stronger, or would the weight of unresolved feelings shatter what they had? With the stakes rising higher than the chilly night sky, Tom took a deep breath, ready to charge into the depths of their truth. "Let us find out." But as he opened his mouth to begin, a loud crash echoed through the venue behind them, and the festive mood shattered like glass. Emma's eyes widened, and suddenly it felt like the entire universe was dangling by a thread. What had just happened? Tom's heart dropped as he and Emma spun around to face the chaos erupting from the backyard again. Their moment of vulnerability, of brave honesty, hung in the air like a fragile bubble just waiting to be burst by the urgency of the present. The crowd's laughter had morphed into a collective gasp, uncertainty hanging thick as smoke. "Is everyone okay?" he shouted, his voice slicing through the thickening tension. Emma's hand tightened around his as they rushed back toward the heart of the scene. When they arrived, they finally caught sight of the source of the disruption. A freshly decorated dessert table lay in ruins, toppled by a sneaky dog darting through the festivities, sending cupcakes and frosting flying everywhere. Laughter erupted amongst the guests as one helplessly sticky guest tried to dodge the rain of frosting, breath escaping in relief. Tom couldn't help but chuckle at the sight. "Well, that's one way to make a memorable birthday," he muttered under his breath. Emma joined him, a giggle escaping her lips, the tension between them uncoiling like a spring. "Seems like cake's meant to be shared, not just looked at," she said, her voice teasing, yet laced with a more profound sincerity. "You're right about that," he replied, meeting her gaze, feeling a flicker of hope that maybe this light-hearted moment would pave the way for deeper conversations to come. "Okay, everybody. Cakes go flying, but our hearts stay. Let us get back to the fun," Karen announced, instantly bringing back the jubilant atmosphere. The party resumed, cheerful chaos filling the evening air once more. But as Tom glanced sideways at Emma, he knew they still needed to talk. The break had brought small moments of levity, but the truth between them beckoned to be addressed. "Emma, can we still talk?" he asked earnestly, holding her focus, not letting the distraction of the party steal this chance from them. "Absolutely, Dad. But let us get through this first," she suggested, her eyes revealing a mix of apprehension and relief. She took a moment to check if the party looked safe and fun again before nodding. "After all, this is my birthday." Tom smiled at her, warmth flooding through him. "Right. Let us celebrate first, then we'll tackle the tough stuff together." For the next few hours, they danced under the explosion of laughter and music, the tension of their earlier conversations lingering in the back of Tom's mind but overshadowed by the joy around them. He watched Emma lounge comfortably among her friends, carefree and radiant, something he'd been desperate for her to feel completely accepted and loved. As the party wound down, Tom felt a sense of urgency in the air. There was healing to be done, and the time had come for them to face the truths they had skirted. "Hey, Emma, let us sneak out for a moment," he suggested, covering his heart with a hand, trying to suppress the anxiety spinning in him. She nodded, though a hint of melancholy danced in her smile. They slipped away from the warmth of the backyard and into the glow beneath the stars, where they had initially set the stage for their heartfelt conversation earlier. "Okay," Tom began, feeling as if every word was a revelation sailing on the breeze. "I know we're both feeling some things, and I want to hear everything that's on your mind. No more holding back. Let us just lay it on the table." Emma drew in a breath, the moonlight catching her eyes, and he saw all the emotions swirling there: fear, hope, uncertainty, but above all, the ember of trust being rekindled. "I love you, Dad," she began, and Tom's heart soared. "But sometimes I feel like you're only around when it's convenient. I want to feel like I matter not just on special occasions. I wish I could take back all the time I spent chasing things," he replied, tears pricking at the corners of his eyes. "Chasing success, when what I needed to be doing was chasing you. I want to be involved in your life again, in every small moment, not just big days like today. We can fix this," she exclaimed, emotion flooding her voice. "But we have to promise each other to be open. To really communicate from now on." Tom felt like a weight had been lifted, their burdens shifting from individual shoulders onto a shared understanding. "I promise," he said, leaning in, drawing her close. "I will be here. I want you to know you can talk to me about anything, not just when things are easy." Together, they embraced under the vast night sky, and in that moment, the universe felt right. A fragile hope fluttered within them both, and as they finally pulled apart, they shared a smile. "Let us make a deal," Emma said, her tone brightening. "This isn't a once-in-a-lifetime conversation. We will keep coming back to each other, over and over again. Deal?" Tom's heart swelled with the genuine promise they made. The night air around them sparkled with stars as they stepped back into the celebration. There was joy to be found in vulnerability, in reconnection, in love, a reminder that success was not merely about wealth but the depth of the relationships they held. As friends erupted into cheers for Emma one last time, Tom felt hope blooming in his heart. They would face whatever came next together. After all, every step toward understanding meant another step toward becoming a family again. This was just the beginning of a new chapter for them, a chapter he was eager to write alongside her. Now, it's your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. You need to share your support, comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.